Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you 10 different tips and tricks for the best builds and strategies in Nine Kings. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things that you can do to get yourself more momentum, more success, more chances in beating the higher difficulty levels. Everything in this video is applicable to whatever faction you will be playing, although I gotta say, a understanding of the mechanics of these kings is something that you acquire while playing them. Some of them are really wildly different, and a part of your success is the learning phase. That being said, the other thing that I want to put out of the room before we get started, in the higher difficulty levels in the current version of the game, randomness is a high factor. You have not enough control over your decisions and the things that you get into your hands to guarantee a win on Prince difficulty and higher every time you go for it. Except that losses are part of the game eventually when you go for the highest difficulty levels. That's something that I wanted to point out. Now, finally, number one. Choose yourself one main damage dealer. If you don't know what to go for with the king, the castle of theirs is always a good choice. In general, a couple of them are a little bit more quirky, looking at you, King of Progression, but all in all, you have a pretty solid damage dealer in all of these instances. All of your effort should now be going into making your main damage dealer stronger, be it now that main castle or your elves or whatever it might be. You want to go for that, and you have to look at what is their flaw, what do they need to go really crazy, and in general, the rule of thumb is everybody wants attack damage. And the other thing is everybody loves attack speed. Attack speed is probably one of the most potent stats out there. And if you see the King of Greed, try to get yourself a beacon, attach it to your main damage dealer, and you have already pretty much 50% of the success in your run in your pocket. I'm not over-exaggerating. I consider the beacon probably to be the most powerful amplifier that's currently in game. Another thing, when you go for these amplifiers, the percentile ones, you want to have the proper ones on the board as quick as possible. This determines a lot about your success or the failure in your build, and re-rolling for them for gold is absolutely a thing in your strategy that you should take into consideration. That's basically what your gold is there for, re-rolls and shopping at the merchant. Few words about the merchant in a hot minute. So, next up in your list, number 3, quality versus quantity. The rank of the troops in this game is insanely important, and at the end of the day, you want to have highest ranking troops to get the enemy down as quick as possible. If you are going for the main castle as your main strategy, as you just saw, you will need some sort of a blocker. If you are working with buildings only, it doesn't work. As you saw there, you'll just get overrun. You need either walls or blockers if you want to go for building strategies. If you're going for troop strategies, your damage dealers are at the same time your blockers, but these also need to be of highest rank as quick as possible. In short, try to get your damage dealer on the top level as quick as possible, and after that, try to get yourself either a blocker if you need it on the top level as quick as possible, and then go for the incremental increasers. And after that, well, it's always a little bit different. Brings me next up to number 4, sacrifice cards. There's a lot of cool effects in the game that allow you to sacrifice a building or generally a tile for a beneficial effect. These are supercharging your build, and whenever you have a chance to get your hands on these, you should take them and try to play them. The sacrificial effects are always different for each faction. So for example, here with the King of Spells, we don't know what we are receiving when we do the sacrifice, but you will have more out of this action than you put in there. You invest 2 cards, but you get 3 cards out of it. Basically, in a nutshell, you're skipping a year ahead. When you go for the Demon card or King of Blood's Sacrifice card, which can upgrade up to 4 units in one go, you invest here again 2 cards to upgrade 4 cards. So you're even skipping 2 years ahead. The sacrifices are turbocharging your build, and playing smartly around them is, in my opinion, pretty important to get yourself a foot into the door on the higher difficulty levels. Number 5, supporting troops. I already skimmed on it, but I found that every main damage dealer does have something they require to keep truly going. So for example, in this build, since we want to be damage dealing mostly with the Trent, we need blockers. The elves are underwhelming, but they do the job somehow. Therefore, I'm adding in here some roots and such things to hold the enemy, but you see, it doesn't work that well. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because we didn't get a king that offered us good blockers. Our entire strategy is a little bit loose. Overall, what I'm trying to get down to is, whatever you choose to dominate the enemy with has inbuilt weaknesses and has problems that you need to iron out. If you don't manage to pull the cards to get this done, this will happen, and don't worry, it's part of the game. It's getting better the more perks you unlock. All in all, you want to get things that iron out the problems. In the last run that I won on Prince difficulty, everything was better as I started to get a Spire to heal my main paladins, for example. It is very different for every strategy what your main centerpiece of effort will, or what your main supporting effort will be, and where the most benefit will come from. Tower builds, for example, benefit from blockers massively, and quarries from the King of Stone. If you want to go for a tower build, if you don't have the King of Stone in your vicinity, things are getting a lot harder. Stuff like that. Which brings me next to number 6, Royal Decrees. Royal Decrees are, all in all, game changing, severely game changing. And you should therefore treat them as opportunities to get a power up for your current strategy. In all honesty, it is here again something where you don't have that much control, but at least due to the fact that we got perks that manipulate royal decrees, we can influence the amount of chances to power charge or build. No success has been made in the higher levels of the game on my end without the proper royal decrees here. So keep an eye out on what they do and facilitate them according to your build, and yeah, you will see how much difference that makes. With some kings, you have to experience what their options are before you are able to make a strategy beforehand. Especially, I had the most problems with the nomadic ones and the progress ones, but the more often you play, the more ideas you will get to keep this whole thing going. So, number 7, unit quantity. This is an interesting little caveat. I discovered over the course of the time that almost nothing is as powerful alongside with attack speed as just pimping up the amount of units that are sitting on a tile. There's several effects in the game that allow you to power charge the quantity of units. The most infamous one is King of Nothing's farms, which do that basically on a linear base, function, which is insanely strong. All in all, when you are doing a creature-based strategy, if you can get your hands on a quantity increasing effect, here again, I find that this is making your success highly more likely, and I can wholeheartedly recommend going for that, because at the end of the day, the more bodies you put on the battlefield, the more time you got to beat the enemy, and also the well, how to put it, you will have more, your units will do more damage, your castle will do more damage, your entire strategy has more room to evolve in itself when you just have more troops on the ground. And yeah, enough about that. Just use these effects when you can get your hands on them. Number 8, merchants. So the merchant does come a few times per game, and the merchant is one of the most powerful ways of gaining extra momentum in your game, due to the fact that every single extra card is sort of like an extra year you get, because you get one card per year. The more gold you got, the heavier you can execute that. The offerings of the merchant are random again, so therefore rerolls are a currency. But in a nutshell, the more gold you got, the more turbocharging you can get out of the merchants. Therefore, think about re-rolling your selections here twice, because to some degree these are all cards that you can't buy later when the merchant comes, but it's still better than picking something that doesn't synergize with your build. So here you have sort of a dilemma that you have to choose between. Okay, number 9, perks. So perks are the meta currency in this game. We unlock them as we move forward, as we grow stronger, and well, the game grows substantially easier, obviously, the more of these we got. And if you struggle with succeeding with some kings, it is really, to some degree, a valid strategy to just play until you have some perks unlocked and just try it again then. I really noticed that some of the kings out there need their perks more than others. I personally think that this game has a few problems on the on the balancing side. I honestly think that a couple of things work much stronger than others, whereas other things are feeling a little bit underpowered, but your mileage may vary, but I've heard that from several players by now. So, what I'm trying to get down to is adapt your perks to the strategy that you'd like to play, but be aware of the fact that whatever strategy you hard lock into your perks might be needing a couple of rerolls until you can play that paladin build that you have perked yourself up for, because there's no guarantee that you get enough of these cards at the beginning of the game. Which brings me directly to number 10. The higher the difficulty levels grow, the more this entire game is about fast scaling. Seriously, you need to get that scaling for your current strategy as fast as possible going. When you are trying to beat Prince and King difficulties, you'll need to have the bottom part, or the fundaments of your build down in the first 10 years. If that ain't the case, you're most likely gonna get washed away. Therefore, it's all about the first 10 turns when you want to power game and when your intent is to go for the highest difficulties. You have to think about which cards do have the most impact right now, right here. Because the amount of turns you got until the enemy scaling is just beating you up is going lower and lower the higher the difficulty levels go. This is something that I noticed, and also my random failure quota went higher and higher the more difficult the game went. Because, like I said several times before, many things are so much out of your control that if you need too many rerolls, or if you just draw the wrong kings, some strategies just don't work out anymore, and sometimes improvisation also doesn't kill it. So don't worry if you take several tries. Go in it with a certain idea that you want to go for, but don't freak out if that idea doesn't work out at all, and retry the next time, because sometimes you just need to draw the proper concoction of cards to make a certain idea work. As a last thing before I end this video, I had the most success by just funneling all my efforts into the castle after building up something that is just tanking in the front line. This is extremely potent It's something that works out for most rulers, and I hope that you'll enjoy your time with Nine Kings, because I must say I really, really like this game for what it offers. It's very fun, it's kind of casual, but at the same time, I really enjoy my time with it. Let me know what you would say, what you'd do differently, or what you'd say is also helpful, because it's always difficult to boil things down to 10 points, but the algorithm loves that. So, leave a like, leave a subscribe, consider donating via Ko-fi or any other given means. I'd be really, really delighted if you'd help me out. And many thanks go out to all of you awesome people who do your thing. And of course, I want to say thanks for watching this video up until the very end. Appreciate your time, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.